Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, the show where we tackle the taboo topics of money and manifestation. I'm your host, Jenny Schultz, former 9-to-5 grinder who ditched the status quo and went all in on creating a life I love. Yes, I use manifestation. Yes, I took action. And yes, I created a 7-figure net worth before turning 40. Every week, I'll bring you inspiring stories with money mavens and manifestation masters. From learning how to make more, save more, and grow your wealth to unlocking the power of manifesting your dream life. I am so excited to play in this space with you. Let's jump into creating a life you love. All right. Welcome back to the Manifestation and Money podcast. How are you all doing now that we're halfway through winter break and Christmas is winding down? I personally completely overdid it on Christmas treats, and I'm wearing my extra cozy pants today. We actually had a fair bit of snow show up here this week, which was lovely for the holidays to be living in this winter wonderland. And the snow is still here while I'm recording today, and it's adding just an extra cozy vibe. So here we are. This is the last episode of 2025. I've always had a fascination with the years changing over. As kids, it was the lure of staying up till midnight to blow on those colorful horns and wear those equally colorful hats, the ones that had that elastic strap that looped under your chin, that were completely not comfortable, but they felt special on New Year's. And as I grew up in my 20s and 30s, I loved to stay up late with friends, drinking festive cocktails and playing games. Now in my 40s, I honestly could flip a coin whether or not I actually stay up till midnight, but I do still love celebrating the new year, setting intentions for the year to come, and wiping the slate clean for new potential and new adventures. And today I feel called to sit with you for a bit as I reminisce on my last year and share a bit of my unwinding process as I head into the new year. So let's do this. Now, depending on my mood, there are a few ways that I typically go about this. Essentially, I like to think back on my past year, noting what I liked and want more of, and noting what I didn't like so much, and think of ways that I can tweak it for the year moving forward. I either grab a cup of Bailey's coffee and just sit with my journal, or sometimes open up my calendar app and flip through the year to kind of jog my memory of what had unfolded. Sometimes I go deep and journal things out over multiple days. The goal is to take time to connect and reflect on the past year. This morning, it was just a simple tea and a point form note list that I made of what stood out in a good way and things that stood out that felt clunky or out of alignment. It didn't take long this year, and I got a bunch of stuff that I can work with, and I feel good potential as I move into the new year. I'll take you through a bit of what came up for me today. This past year, I had a few noteworthy trips. A reunion type trip that we took to pay tribute to a family member who left us. And on that trip, we were also there to celebrate my grandma turning 90. And it included several stops visiting with various extended family members. That trip felt special, and it affirmed to me that in-person family connections are important to me. So I want to plan more of them into my year next year. Another trip I did was I went on a girls' trip to Vegas. And I love these trips. It's become an annual occurrence, and we've already booked our tickets for 2026. Chris and the kids stay home, and then we swap roles later in the year when Chris can go get some solo time for himself. And in the world of parenting and marriage and long to-do lists, I've learned that it's important for us to shake our routines up from time to time. On this last trip, the girls and I hit up a tattoo shop. The irony of that is we used to joke when we first started our Vegas trips as we walked past people who were mostly drunk getting tattoos in these tattoo shops that we would never do something so crazy. And now here we are, not drunk, but going into tattoo shops and getting tattoos in Vegas for the second time. This tattoo I got was one of the most visible tattoos that I own, right on the inside of my wrist this time. And honestly, I love it. It's an arrow that is bent into an infinity loop. I'll pop a picture of it on the Manifestation and Money Instagram feed. To me, it represents options. I always want to remind myself that I have permission to pivot whenever life feels out of alignment, and to just allow myself to pivot towards the things that make my heart sing. So this tattoo is the perfect reminder of that. And with it being on my wrist, I do get that reminder from myself often. And if I'm ever hesitating to pulling the trigger on something, Chris will gently grab my arm and lift it to my view to remind me that I have the power to choose. That trip brought a lot of good memories and apparently my new favorite permanent souvenir.
So the other travel was that epic 3 generation vacation. I did a whole episode on it. So I'm not going to dig into it here, but it had a key element in it that I want to repeat more of this year. And that was getting to the ocean with my kids to spend more time exploring beaches and tidal pools. Yes, Chris can be there, but it felt like home and it stirred up so many memories of me being at the beach as a kid with my grandparents, just exploring and finding all sorts of different treasures that belong beside the ocean. And on the flip side of going on trips, I am learning to embrace the fact that as much as I enjoy going on a vacation, I equally enjoy coming home, sleeping in my own bed, and puttering around in my garden. This year, I want to create a lounge space in my yard that is more than just simply popping up a lawn chair whenever I want to sit down. I want kind of a permanent place where I have a place to set my water bottle down and maybe read a book. And I want to plant my garden on time this year. So, where I live, our growing season is super short. Last year, I was delayed in getting our garden going, and Kinley had this dream to grow a watermelon, and we never got one to grow past the size of my pinky fingernail. Don't know if we're going to try watermelons again next year, but I definitely have to get things into the ground sooner. Notice how, as I'm reflecting back on the last year, this exercise is naturally planting the seeds, no pun intended, because I realized we were just talking about seeds, but planting the seeds for the new year. This is a general basis of lifestyle design. So instead of just letting your years roll into each other, you can choose to put intention into them. So decide what you want in advance. I hesitate to joke that people put more intention and effort into planning a 2-week vacation than they do for planning the rest of the 50 weeks of the year, but that is often true. Days just pass by, weeks pass by, which unfortunately then years pass by, and surely you're likely making an income the bulk of your other weeks that you're not on vacation, but you can still put intention into the nuances of your day that surrounds your income making. So when we're looking back at a year and see patterns that were good or patterns that are not so great, we can make little tweaks to set ourselves up for more of the good stuff moving forward. I also like to think in terms of categories when I'm looking back at the year, things like health, wealth, and relationships. When I think about my overall health from the past year, I do think I had a pretty healthy year. And with that said, though, I'm not particularly happy with my food choices. Since having kids, I've tended to lean more towards easy processed and quick meals, partly because preparing dinner with little ones underfoot was not something that I was good at multitasking. But my kids are older now. So, moving into the new year, I tend to prioritize cooking more. And I'm actually excited to try new recipes. And yes, I'm still going to have frozen pizzas and French fries on standby, but I have this newfound goal to lean towards fresher ingredients and more whole cooked foods. So let's see where that goes. And another thing that I've been working on that I want to carry into this new year is not committing to things simply because I feel obligated to do so. I do commit to volunteering for positions at my children's school because I want to. I support the school fundraisers because I want to. But sometimes things pop in that I feel like I need to say yes to when actually I don't want to. So there's one particular thing that came to mind, and it's personal, but I'm going to share it because I trust it's going to land with someone who needs to hear it. I had an acquaintance who I would go out for coffee chats with periodically. And in the beginning, I enjoyed it. Then things started to feel out of alignment and clunky. We would go for coffee, and this person would message me before I had even returned back home, asking to schedule the next one. And since I did initially enjoy the chats, I just kept showing up out of politeness. But then I started to find myself feeling annoyed by this person. And I didn't enjoy the pressure and the expectations that surrounded the experience with this person. I was feeling slightly controlled in a way. And in a world where I want to spend more time with close friends and family, this person was impeding on that space. So, long story short, I ended that friendship. We were not energetically aligned. The way we moved through life was different. The space we were holding for each other was different. You know that feeling when someone is standing too close to you and you just kind of want to keep backing away and you feel like they're invading your space, they're in your bubble? It was like that. So I had to have an uncomfortable, it's not you, it's me kind of conversation and release this person from my circle. because it was not fair to them for me to keep showing up and acting as if it was okay when my gut was telling me to walk away. And it was equally okay for me to honor my feelings and separate myself from that person. And it feels kind of weird to articulate this out loud because it almost sounds cold-hearted, but there's nothing wrong with this person. It's just we weren't in alignment. I also want to throw in a side note that I did articulate a requested kind of boundary that I required to have this relationship work, but nothing changed from their end. So I needed to honor myself and get real about the fact that I could either keep uncomfortably showing up for this person on their terms, or I could politely articulate that it wasn't working for me. And I do believe that people come and go into our spheres for a reason and that there are lessons along the way. And this person showed me that it is okay for me to have a boundary and it's okay for me to use my voice. As awkward as that conversation was, I felt so much peace and ease and space after, space mentally, but also space in my calendar. And now I get to choose what I get to say yes to fill that space. So that is a little peek into my process that I go through and some snippets in there of what I uncovered when I was digging through it this morning. As I wrap up here today, as this year is coming to an end, I want to ask you, what do you want? I know I personally want more connection time with my sisters, and I'm going to use my calendar as a tool. And I've pre-plugged the words in, set up a lunch or coffee date with my sisters. And I have set it as a reoccurring event in my calendar so that I am intentionally setting those up throughout the year. Because if we don't make space for the things we want, time keeps passing, and often the things that we wanted become an afterthought. What do you want to let go from 2025 to allow space for in 2026? One of my favorite equations that can bring clarity to shaking up some of the clunky spots in your life is event plus response equals outcome. So E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. For example, if you've got too much drama, stop participating in it or giving your energy to the person or situation that is causing it. If you hate your job, look for an alternate that suits you better. If you want more conversations that light you up, join groups or clubs with people who have the same interests. Event plus response equals outcome. If you look back at your past year and notice certain outcomes that you didn't enjoy, look at the events that caused that. Notice what your response was to generate that outcome. Take ownership for it. And even think of a few ways that you could have reacted or shown up different to create a different outcome. Plant the seeds for the future you to be proactive in future similar situations. This exercise is really powerful because it forces you to take ownership in how you contributed to the outcome. And from that, you can harness the power of choosing a different response in the future. And it is often too easy to point the blame elsewhere. And by doing so, you leave yourself powerless. So reclaim your power, go out there, take ownership, and create an amazing 2026. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for sharing in this space with me. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. And I trust that together we are making a difference in our circles, showing up a little bit brighter, standing a little taller, loving more unconditionally, sharing more joy, and saying yes to taking on your big, bold dreams and goals. In January, I'm running a Dream Bigger challenge. It is the perfect reset as we let go of what was bogging us down in 2025. And it is intended to set you up to run with your big, bold goals into 2026. It'll be happening inside the Manifestation Playground. I'll be dropping links when it goes live. I wish you a safe and wonderful new year. See you next week. Cheers to creating a life you love. Thank you for hanging out with me on the Manifestation and Money podcast. If you're ready to take your manifesting to the next level, come join me inside the Manifestation Playground. It's an intentional space I've created to explore, experiment, and expand your manifestation potential. It's where the magic happens. So head on over to www.manifestationplayground.ca to find out more. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep taking aligned action. Cheers to creating a life you love.